Forbes, Manager of Client Strategy, and today I'm joined by Lisa Hutt, Manager of Strategic Accounts. Lisa, how are you?
Good.
Today we want to talk about the topic of artificial intelligence. Now, this buzzword is not new. I'm sure you've heard about it from 2017, 2018, and now rolling into 2019. Artificial intelligence and machine learning are parts of advertising and are not going away. But first, Lisa, I want to talk about the idea of artificial intelligence because even though it's picked up speed recently, this is not a new subject, right? This has been around for a while.
Yeah, it's been around a lot longer than you think. In fact, they say that the first use of artificial intelligence was back in 1940-something during World War II with the Alan Turing machine. And I think if you saw the movie with Benedict Cumberbatch, you'll recall that he made this machine that basically broke the Germans' code during World War II and helped win the war.
Awesome. And what's the difference between artificial intelligence and machine learning? If people out there heard those two terms, how would you define them?
So basically, machine learning is a subset of artificial intelligence. There's a lot of different disciplines in artificial intelligence, but machine learning is one thing that is being done now quite a lot. And it's the thing that we hear the most about when we're talking about advertising and even the kinds of things that we experience as consumers.
Right. So let's then take a step back, right? Because there's been a lot of changes. There's a lot of platforms. You have Google, Bing, Facebook. Sometimes these things can be overwhelming to try and stay on top in the digital world. And when people hear machine learning, the word trust comes into play so much because it's like I have to trust now these machines to know what I know about my business, right? That's a huge factor. So Lisa, let's start off with a couple recent shifts over the past year or so that have happened in some of the channels that likely people who are watching are running advertising in when it relates to artificial intelligence and or machine learning.
So interesting enough, machine learning isn't really that new either in terms of even what the channels have been doing. I mean, Google actually started in earnest working with machine learning in 2011, and then in 2014 really started rolling it out to Gmail and Translate and Google Search. So I think that if you've ever heard the word RankBrain, that's using machine learning. Another type of machine learning, but machine learning nonetheless. And so I think what we're really seeing right now is that the platforms themselves are making it more apparent and easier for marketers to be able to take advantage of that.
Right.
So if you've heard of Google Responsive Search Ads or Facebook Creative Dynamic Ads or Dynamic Creative Ads, I forget which way it goes, but the whole idea is that you're going to give the system some inputs. You're going to give videos, images, headlines, copy points, and you're going to let the machine learning, those algorithms, those machine learning algorithms decide how to combine that for the best possible experience based on what it knows and based on what it continues to learn.
So previously, I would go in the engine, right? I would tell the engine exactly how I wanted my advertising to show, the exact image, the exact headline, ad copy. Now what you're saying is I can maybe upload a plethora of images, ad copy, let the system do its work to see what's more engaging, what users like better, and then it will serve that without me having to step in, the advertiser spending my time to go ahead and correct that. That's a huge fundamental shift, right? Because then you're basically taking advertisers' time that would have been spent analyzing that data, and you can use it elsewhere. But I still think that trust factor is in the middle there, where are people going to give up, right, that control? Because as advertisers, I think we tend to a lot of times be control freaks because we know our business, we know what we want to put out there. So talk about more of that fundamental shift in how you see advertisers taking advantage and why it's a good thing to give up trust to artificial intelligence.
Well, a couple things. First of all, we never really were in control. I mean, you think about it, we think we're in control of that consumer journey, but we're really not. And in reality, with all the different ways that people come to your site or see your name out in different, social media channels, and you never really know when any individual comes really where they are in the customer journey. You get some ideas where they might be, but in reality, you really don't have that control.
Right.
And in the past, you really had to kind of think of every possible way to connect with these people at every different stage and every permutation. And we, just as human beings, there's so much data out there, we just can't do that.
Yeah.
And that's what makes the machine learning so important, because it can do that. It can find all those patterns, it can continue to learn, and it can do all of the kind of work that is really too time consuming and really not doable by the human brain, basically.
Right.
So I think that it really is a shift, but it's kind of not a shift because you really never have that control.
Sure.
You really need to just make sure that you're spending your time crafting the message and thinking about, do I have enough messages to cover the different points in the customer journey and the different ways people make decisions, and spend your time doing that, and then let the machines get the right message to the right people.
Makes sense. And I think there's a ton of factors that machine learning or artificial intelligence can certainly help with. One of the more interesting ones is demographic targeting, because most people out there who are watching are running advertisements for their business or their service, and you're going to have different buckets of different demographics, whether that be people and their attributes, or maybe their buying experiences, etc. So how can artificial intelligence alleviate some of that time, some of that strategy that advertisers spend hours, days, weeks bucketing these demographics to then serve a different message? What you're saying is this can now be automated and help in that process.
Well, yeah, because you could be using your first-party data if you're using a platform where you can use third-party data. You always had access to these different audiences. No matter how you define them, you would have to go out and search and make sure that data is available.
Yeah.
But you need to try. The difference is that the algorithms would have been written very rigidly to work on this data.
Right.
Now the algorithms are learning as they go, and so even though you may say, okay, I want to target a specific group of people, that doesn't mean that you don't need something to constantly learn about that audience and constantly deliver the right kind of message.
Sure.
Because even within that group, there may be subsets of that group that may respond to one message more than another. Again,
Absolutely.
you don't always know 100% about any individual. And these systems are really designed to deliver the right message at the right time. I hear Google talk about that all the time.
Yep.
And that's really what it's designed. And so really, probably one of the most important things is that machines need time to learn. So you can't run, this isn't really appropriate for very short flight campaigns.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You've got to give the machine time to learn, and it needs to really learn from your data.
Right, and that's also important to remember that it's ongoing. The more data and the more time you can give a system that has artificial intelligence, machine learning built in, like a search engine, the better your campaigns are going to be. A lot of people will launch campaigns within 1 or 2 months. They will expect, the sky, the stars, and the moon, and not to say that you can't achieve great success right off the bat, but the more time these machines have to look over the data and look over the users and demographics who are interacting with you, the better your outcome is going to be. We recommend 3 months, I think, at a minimum when we launch campaigns and we're testing something,
Right.
but really you're likely talking about a time frame of more like 6, 7, even 8 months.
Yeah, it depends. It depends on the data sets that you're using. And it's not even just time for it to understand the data. It's time for it to learn.
Right.
Everything, it just like we do. It goes through and it sees one situation, it makes a decision. Was that the right decision? Yes, no. And then it learns from there. And that's what it needs the time to do.
I know most people out there are thinking, okay, here's an agency talking to us about artificial intelligence and machine learning. It's coming into our advertising, even if you may be using it right now. So that means that we don't need humans to watch over our ads anymore, right? The pain has been alleviated, and I can go away and let it run on its own, and I don't really need to watch it, right? So therefore, I don't really need to work with an agency anymore because Google's so smart, it does it all for me, right?
No.
Why not?
No. Because you still need the human element. The machines are very good at taking in all this data and making decisions based on that data. What it's not good at doing is it's not good at working off of intuition. It's
Right.
not good at reasoning. It's not good at making decisions based on morals or values. So you still need that human element. You still need to make sure that the campaigns themselves, what you know about your audience and the messaging that you're putting out there resonates with that group.
Absolutely.
And you still, again, only we really can write that copy. Yes, there are machines out there that write copy. In fact, the Washington Post has a robot that writes very small articles. And I think Google has even wanted to play around with that. I don't think we're there yet, and I don't think as advertisers that we should expect to be there anytime soon. I think that we really need to I don't think our jobs are going away anytime soon.
Right.
But we should lean into this technology and use it. And the nice thing is not an either or situation. You can use both machine learning campaigns along with traditional campaigns
That's a great point.
evaluate the performance the way that you want to.
Yeah, and if you're stepping back and you're giving trust and control over to a machine learning process, use your time more effectively, because we know when you look at the advertising ecosystem, for example, there's always places where digital marketers are going to say, man, I wish I had a little bit more time to spend there. Maybe it's creativity, maybe it's strategy.
Absolutely.
Again, these are buzzwords that machine learning, artificial intelligence, maybe in the future can start to grasp. But that's not really their main function or their main job. You as the marketer and adding that human element in can still create a theme, a strategy, be creative, as you said, ad copy. These things are very important. So no, our jobs aren't going away anytime soon. In fact, I would say it's more important to even have eyes on it as the machine's making those changes. Because remember, they're making those changes on the fly, right? You don't have to then wait for a month-over-month report to then look back and say, okay, what happened last month? Let's make some changes. Let the machines do it on the fly, as then you can take a higher level view and step back.
Yeah.
Lisa, this is all great information. I think overall, the best point to take home is if you're not using any campaigns currently that have artificial intelligence or machine learning built in, definitely test them and figure out where that balance is, right? Between where you can spend your time elsewhere looking at the campaign strategy, but allowing the time and the structure of a search engine like Google to improve your campaigns. That could be engagement, that can be conversions, either way, let it do that work for you. And that trust factor is so huge. Is there anything that you would like to leave the audience with as a last reminder before we depart?
Not really. I think you said it all, Chuck. No, I mean, I'm very excited about it. I think it's just something that marketers should definitely get behind. It's probably one of the most interesting developments, that's come to fruition. It's really been bubbling, but now we're really reaching, I think, a tipping point with it.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.